All right, let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who are right on time, we are going to do our technical presentations. Today, let's think about some of the things we can critique our fellow classmates on as we watch these presentations, because I think that's the most valuable part of this. You're going to have 10 minutes of sheer terror yourself presenting, that's fine, but then the other 2 hours you're going to be spending watching your classmates. So I think the more you can think about using the techniques we've studied in class 1, 2, and 3, the better you'll be able to incorporate them in your presentation life going forward. So let's cast our mind back. Class 1, we talked about conclusions, right? We talked about how to present conclusions verbally, non-verbally. We also talked about the aspect that you as smart MBA students are the people who are going to be presenting these valuable conclusions. You don't want to stand up here and just list data. Tell us the important thing and use verbal and nonverbal methods to indicate that that's important. What else? Class 2 or class 1 we talked about objective. Right? You want to have a purpose for standing up here rather than just reading us slides. You maybe want to inform us, persuade us, calm us, one of those types of things. Okay. Class 2, remember we did that body language stuff, eye contact, hand gestures. What else did we do? We talked about using that zip, zap, zoom thing for stabilizing your stance. So if you find yourself swaying back and forth, think zip, zap, zoom. In terms of relating to the slide material, you might think about zip, zap, zooming that stuff to the rest of the class. Eye contact, how long do we want eye contact for? Yeah, 5 to 10 seconds. Yeah. What else? Anything else for body language?
I think it was touch, turn, talk.
Yes, so we're on to class 3. We talked about presenting technical data, and if you find yourself looking back and forth to the slides, you might use the touch, turn, talk method, which is what, Venetia?
For it.
Touch, turn, talk suggests that you click to the next slide, turn your head, remind yourself what's on the next slide, turn your head back, and then talk. Do not do all 3 at the same time and end up head spinning back and forth. What else did we talk about? We talked about you maintaining presenter value. We don't want you to be competing with the slides. So you hopefully might have incorporated a couple of animation effects in your slides. You may also use the overture the slide method. Does anyone remember what that is? No? Okay. Overture the slide was present the whole slide if you have to, so that your audience will understand where you're going. That initial presentation will satisfy their curiosity as to what is on the bottom of the slide, and you can concentrate back on the top, in the middle, or wherever you need to. Overture the slide for your audience, and then go back to where you need to. Does anyone remember the take method for presenting a graph? Title, axis, key takeaway, elaboration. All right, if you present a graph, you might say the title, explain the axes, then explain the key takeaway, and then elaborate further. What else do we have? I don't know, that's some good stuff. So, think about critiquing your classmates on that. And do try to pay attention. I know it's tempting when there's a long time period when you're not presenting to play on your cell phone or do whatever, but this is an opportunity for you to learn from your classmates and give them your feedback, because I can't just give them all my feedback all the time. Oh, come on. I get tired of hearing myself talk. We need to know how this affects the whole audience. All right, let's start. Venetia? All right, so this, while Venetia's getting set up, this is the clicker. This right-hand one goes forward, left-hand one goes back. We have the red pointer if you need it. We also have the blank slide on the lower right-hand corner if you need that.
I did upload the Blackboard.
Okay, so I have all these people, Venetia, we can go in this order, Venetia, David, Danielsa, Amanda, Letitia, just click on it and open it. And we'll do those and go from there.
So my topic is kind of science heavy, so I
Yeah,
tried
we'll do these first though.
to skim the surface of it. Get into a lot. So, good afternoon. I am presenting on genetically modified organisms, or GMOs as we all know. Again, it's really science heavy, I promise. I will not go into depth, I promise. Alright. What are GMOs? Mankind has been manipulating food for thousands and thousands of years through selective breeding. You know, we have corn, or dogs, I should say, I'm sorry, from the gray wolf, and corn. But now currently we're dealing with the molecular level of DNA and how we change things from its before its original product. Alright, and GMOs are definitely going to be, well, that's modified tomato, but GMOs are definitely going to be the wave of the future. First, we're going to do a definition, a little history, crops or products that are using GMOs, and health and safety. Definition. So GMOs, as I said, come from the rearrangement of molecular levels and to have the traits that are most desirable in products such as plants, animals, microorganisms, bacteria. And it consists of foreign genes that are inserted into an organism that is not from its original source. A little bit of background. DNA has been around for a very long time, well, from the early 1900s, but we're going to start from 1970, which was the first type of antibiotic that was created. But we don't really go into crops until the 1980s, where tobacco was introduced into the mix. So in 1982, tobacco was the first genetically engineered plant, and it was inserted with an agrobacterium to fight off the diseases that is causing or prevents tumors. And then in the 1990s, we have a little bit more of the crops and the plants, and we have, the first tomato that's commercialized to sell in 1994, and then golden rice, which in 1995, it was introduced into the market. It was a type of rice that was introduced as a higher nutritional value with vitamin A. Okay. A little bit more history. In 2002, I'm sorry, I have that backwards. In 1995, we had the potato, and then in 2000, we had the golden rice. I'm so sorry. And beyond, to current present days, we have fish, the salmon. Everybody knows salmon, how salmon are really tiny and they've now grown 3 times its size. So that's where we are today. So we have the adoption of genetically engineered crops in the U.S. By percentage and by year. And you see how the main staples of the US has dramatically climbed from 1996. Almost 90% in soybeans, and in cotton we have 95%, I'm sorry, and corn is the same thing, and soy. So it just shows how over the span of 12 years, how much GMOs are used in our society, which is drastic compared to when we first started. Products, fruits and vegetables, papaya, anybody like papaya? Yeah, that is GMO approved. There was a threat with the ring spot virus. That's why they introduced the virus into the plant. That way the plant itself can fight the virus and survive, and that'll give a larger harvest in papayas. We have starches, as I said, corn and soy. They're very prominent in our society. They introduced herbicides to fight against weeds, the weed pesticides that we spray on our grass. And they insect that to the corn and the soy so they can fight off and they grow big, and to the seed you see the large corn of the cob that we see is fake. And we have plants like cotton that we use, and medicines like insulin and what we use for diabetes. Health and safety. So, a lot of people think that GMOs are bad for you, and there has been many documents that have tested that otherwise. It's not 100% bad for you. There's no long-term effects that will, you will not grow another arm or a limb, I promise. But in the U.S., you have regulations of the techniques, and not necessarily the type of product, because depending on the technique that you use is whether it gets commercialized or put on the market. So we have 3 agencies that govern the regulations of the GMOs, which is the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, the FDA, the well-known U.S. Department of Food and Drug Administration, and also the USDA, which is the Department of Agriculture. You see that mostly on our meats, chickens, all that stuff. Okay. And all these work together to make the food consumer safe, and the laws that dictate the safety, as again I said, are more on technique. Conflicts and conclusions. Non-GMOs. There's many. Whenever you Google GMOs, the first thing you'll see is non-GMOs. They're bad for you. They're gonna make you sick, and in the long run, they're just not very healthy. But it's valid. People have opinions. Many people think that, and it's because we're changing DNA on a molecular level, and it seems like we're tampering with the natural process of foods, which I understand. However, GMOs are trying to help protect the agriculture. A lot of the foods, when we try to plant and harvest, their lifespan are not very long. So this is a way that we can help that prolong its life. So, in conclusion, GMOs are the wave of the future, and if you want to know any other information, please hit me.
Good, excellent. Comments for Venetia? Oh.
So she had some notes, some fairly dense notes it looked like. How did she handle using those notes to make her presentation? Was that an effective use of notes?
I wish it was smaller, something that I could see.
Small, oh yeah, less and bigger. Yeah, it occurred to me that you were just realizing that as you were standing up there.
Yeah.
That and some of the language you're using, you're like, oh, doesn't really seem appropriate to explain all that right now. But I still think you did a good job relating to us. Didn't seem like you were reading at us. And even though I could tell you seemed a little flustered as you were going into it, you still seemed to have a great connection with us. Good use of notes, great tracker. Thank you for doing the tracker. And as I mentioned, I feel like there were some things you discovered as you were standing in front of an audience. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I'll play psychologist for just a minute because I'm interested. Did you feel like you had too much? You had stuff in a different order? Did you feel like you wish you had rehearsed more? Or?
I wish my notes were in a different order.
Okay.
When you put little like stars next to it, 1, 2, you can't really see that while you're standing up, especially when you're presenting a bunch of people. So I wish my notes were more organized. I think some of my terms, I tried to like not use all the scientific terms because I know a lot of people may not know that, and I have to take this time out to explain what all that, is, and I didn't want to put a lot of jargon in it. So.
Okay. Did you feel like you had too much jargon once you started? You're like, oh my god, I need to take out more jargon, or?
Yeah, I probably had a little bit too much, even though I tried to skim again the surface, as I said in the beginning.
Okay. Good. Can you flip back to the slide really quick?
Yeah.
This one.
Number 7?
Yes. I feel like this has been a great opportunity to use the take method
Okay.
to help us understand what was in this graph. I feel like you got straight to the conclusion, which was look at all the growth.
Mm-hmm.
But we needed a minute to absorb this because there's a lot of information here. The title is pretty lengthy, adoption and yada yada yada. And as I was looking at it, as I was hearing you talking, I was realizing, oh, this is basically starting at 0.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going from 0 to,
100.
is this in millions or something?
No, just a percentage, as in like the land that we use for gym
Oh,
crops.
the percentage?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a
Right,
lot
so
of it
it's-
is not even, I don't want to say natural anymore, but a lot of it is more engineered than anything else.
Okay, good. So yeah, I would have used the take technique here. One thing I wanted to say as I was watching you and seeing that you were a little flustered by this, and on the one hand I wanted to say, all right, let's just stop and have a casual conversation about this. But I feel like just struggling through it gave us a better sense of where you were coming from, gave us better information. And the reason I mention that is I just came from this meeting for the Strategic Consulting Institute earlier today. I help out with this Strategic Consulting Institute. Maybe some of you have participated in it. We have a group of students who are helping the city of White Plains with some development project. They've got this parcel of land. What do they do with it? So we're sitting there with 6 people from the city of White Plains and 6 or 7 of us who are working on this project. And they didn't give us a presentation. They had a presentation planned out, but they just started randomly talking about, oh, this idea and this thing I saw over in this town and this is the tax, and they just wouldn't go in a clear format. And I found it very frustrating. I just couldn't understand what they were trying to say. I couldn't understand what they wanted us to do. And I just thinking about how even though this presentation was a little choppy, just by the fact that you stuck with the format and said, let me give it to you in this format, I think was helpful. Okay, so anything else for Venetia? All right, so, yeah, sounds good. Looks good.
Good evening, everyone. 9 million people in New York City alone are able to flip a light switch and enjoy electric power from their local electric utility company. Contrary to the usual method of receiving electric from a utility company, there was an invention in the 1980s known as photovoltaic. Today we know that as solar power. So solar power was an invention that you could take sunlight, transform that into electrical energy, and be able to get off of the utility company. At least that's what they thought would happen. Today I'm going to give a presentation on why electric utility companies are here to stay, and solar is not the be-all end-all of electric utility. There are 3 reasons that I'll go over. Electric utilities are more reliable, they're safer, and they're actually more cost-effective than going on to solar. Agenda, we'll talk about why utilities are required. I'm going to give you an overview of how the electric utility company operates and how solar works. We'll give specifics as to why utility is more beneficial than going on to solar, and I'll conclude. So, why are electric utilities here to stay? Number 1 is that the utility company is more reliable, and we'll go into detail into that. Second is that the utility company delivers safer power, and it's actually more cost effective for a customer to stay on utility than to actually investing and going on to solar for their electric. So this slide is going to go over how a utility company actually delivers electricity. So it all starts at a power plant. So a power plant can take oil, gas, wind. There's a number of resources that it can use, and it basically takes that and transforms it into electrical energy that a customer can pay for and use. So from the power plant, it's generated and it goes to what's called a substation, or station in this graph. And this station basically takes that intensity of electricity and steps it down a little bit from the substation so that can be distributed to customers to use. There are 2 main ways a utility company, and this is worldwide, so this is applicable anywhere, would distribute that electricity to a customer. The first is known as non-network. So if you see poles, typically residential areas, poles, it's called a non-network system. Typically, residential houses have electricity that way. In very dense populations, such as New York City, the city of Philadelphia, those poles are actually fed via those poles don't exist, we have underground, and it's actually more reliable. There's a network system. So power is fed from the same station to network, what's called a grid. So power is fed to a grid, and it's all interconnected, and it's a little more reliable because you're being fed by multiple sources at once. Now solar is that you don't need any of this. You have a panel that you buy from a contractor, the contractor installs it on your roof, and based on a bunch of calculations of the sun in your area, they advertise that they can supply you enough power that you won't need to be fed from the utility. So, why is the utility more reliable than solar? Number 1 is that the solar power, the utility has alternate sources. It's not dependent only on one source to generate its electricity. It's connected via many sources. And in a non-network area, they call it first contingency, which means if one power source gets eliminated, there's a backup source. Whereas solar, you lose a solar panel, you've got no electricity. So if your solar panel dies or goes out, something goes wrong with your residential solar panel, you're out for a little while. We'll go into some statistics behind that. And then in network areas like dense cities like New York City, that's a pretty bad idea because in New York City you need to always have power. So they design a more resilient system, which is based on a second contingency. So if you lose 2 sources, you still have power in the city. So solar, again, doesn't have that flexibility or that resiliency. The power for utility is not solely dependent on the weather. So your gas, oil, coal, wind, there's many different sources that all connect, and that's all calculated and taken into account when they're distributing the power, whereas a solar panel is only solely dependent on the sun. So if you are in an area that doesn't have a lot of sun, or you're in an area where you have bad weather for a while, that panel's ability and efficiency degrades, and you won't have the same ability to power your house. And finally, there's much faster restoration times when you do lose a utility power. The utility's there on standby to help you out and get you back and running, whereas solar, you're out until you get your own electrician to help you. And utilities have qualified personnel available 24/7 to do that. So we'll go into some statistics behind that. So we have the title being outage duration. For this example, I have data from Con Edison, and we're comparing that restoration time to solar. So this is the number of hours that a customer was typically out from 2010 to 2014. So as you can see, a customer that was on Con Edison, if they were out from the moment that they call Con Edison for help to they get fully restored, on average was restored within 4.5 hours. And they're pretty good every year with getting to that goal. Whereas a solar outage is something where a break on the solar panel, or for some reason something goes wrong and they call the electrician, the average was almost 15 hours. It's been going down a little bit, but much greater. So just to put that into perspective, if you have a fridge full of food, 4.5 hours, you could probably still eat it. 15 hours, I wouldn't. So that's just to give you a little perspective on how important time is for restoration. So the second was that the utility power is safer. Again, trained professionals, they are there on standby 24/7 to help you if something were to go wrong, and they're trained to do that. They're qualified and trained. If you go with the solar company, you're on your own. You're finding your own electrician, you're finding your own solar company. That company may not be here 5 years from now when it goes down. You might have to find another one if something goes wrong. There's a lot of things that you have to think about when you're investing in a solar system. Utility companies also use standardized equipment. So all the equipment is approved. It's looked at by an engineering department. That engineering department makes sure that equipment is safe. They make sure that that equipment is going to be resilient. It's not going to go out. When you go to a solar company, you don't know what they're buying. You don't know where they're buying it from. You don't know if it's qualified equipment. So you're really taking a risk. You're hoping that that solar company, which is here today, maybe not tomorrow, is making the right decision on the equipment that they're purchasing. And finally, with utility companies, they have standardized training and operating procedures for all their equipments. Everything has a procedure, everything's standardized. So you're making sure that these people, these qualified professionals, are operating the equipment the way it was intended to be operated. So this is a graph that shows the target towards safety that the utility has and some statistics behind it. So the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, OSHA, and they have a statistic known as incident rate. So incident rate means it's basically a way that you could take one industry or company and compare it to another industry or company and see how safe you are in comparison. So it's a statistic based on the injury or illness rate per 100 workers in that company. So utilities have a very stringent safety guidance. They follow it very strictly. Private contractors typically don't, and this is just some statistics behind it. So you can see between the years of 2010 and 2014 that the utility companies as an industry, this is just an industry now, not just Con Edison, has a much lower incident rate than private contractors. And these are, as an industry, utilities. So some utilities that are much safer, some utilities that are not so good at safety, but on an average, they're much safer than the alternative, which is a private contractor. Putting this into perspective against all industries, we have private contractors up in the almost 4 range, and utilities over 2. And these are just various amount of utilities in comparison to each other. Utility companies are also more cost effective. So this is the most important for our customer, because they want to make sure that their dollar that they spend is going in the right place. So I've done an analysis here. We can see, is it actually indeed cheaper to go on solar? Because inherently you would think, if I'm not paying the utility for my power and I'm generating my own, it should be cheaper. I should not have a bill anymore. I should be saving money or making money, because maybe I'm selling it back to the utility. So I'm going to show you how that's not the case, and it's actually more expensive to go with solar. So there's a concept known as net metering, and net metering means is that if you have a solar panel and you're still connected to the utility, and you were to produce the same amount that you receive, meaning you're basically net zero on your meter. Your meter can spin both ways, consumption and then pushing out into the system. So if your meter is zero, and you're not taking anything from the utility and you're not producing anything to the utility, you're still paying a bill for the utility company. And that's because the utility company applies a standby rate, which is for them to, if something were to go wrong and your solar panel dies and you still need power, you can still call the utility company. And they'll come, they'll hook you up, or it'll be already there. In most cases, they won't even have to call, and they're there for you, right? So you're paying for that regardless if you're net zero. So you're still paying a bill to the utility company. The second is that utilities, contrary to many belief, they actually don't profit from energy usage. So if you throw everything on, all your switches, you throw all your heaters on, you throw all your AC on in the summer, the utility doesn't make any more money than it would if you did. The utility buys on the energy market at the same rate that it sells to the customer. So the only profit that they're making is on the delivery charge, which is the standby rate, essentially. And that's due to its regulation with the Public Service Commission. The other thing to consider is that there's no upfront cost to utility. You're not paying any capital dollars for investing in infrastructure with the utility. You're just paying every month, a monthly bill. With solar, you have to pay everything up front to the contractor. You've got to pay for your panel, you've got to pay for the installation fees, any sort of maintenance associated with that, and then you're still paying a utility bill at the end anyway. So we're going to look into that in a little bit. So with solar, you're going to pay for your initial cost, which is your capital money, for the installation and the equipment, and you're also going to pay for any maintenance every so many years. You have to pay for equipment upgrades, things go bad, so you have to pay for that too. So we're going to do a cost comparison. First, we're going to look at how much does it cost for a customer, residential customer, we'll say a typical residential home, to go on to solar. So, typically, equipment installation from a private solar company, about $17,000. There are tax incentives that they are giving, and some of them are very attractive. You got federal and state taxes. Say you save $6,000 on that, so you get about $11,000. Every 12 years, there's a device called an inverter, which every 12 years it's rated to only last 12 years. So it will likely die in 12 years. So for this analysis, I did a 25-year cost comparison, how much you save on getting solar versus paying for utility. So we'll go with 25 years, because 25 years is the reason for this analysis, because that's how long the panel is rated to last. So every 25 years, the panel is going to die, essentially. That's how long they expect it to. Another thing to consider is that the panel degrades over time. So what it's generating today as a new panel, over time it won't generate it be as efficient. That's another thing you got to consider when you're going with solar. So about $14,000 for 25 years. And there's also, again, standby costs. You're still paying the utility for being there. So you're still paying a bill from the utility. So we'll say if you're netting zero and you're generating as much as you're taking, you're still paying a $14,000 over 25 years to utility. So $27,000 is your total cost. But how much do you save? Okay, so this graph is the cost comparison of solar and utility. So here you have the spent cost in US dollars and over a 25-year period. So the red line here is how much you're paying for solar, and this is how much you're going to be saving with solar, assuming you are netting zero and paying, saving $84 a month on your energy usage. So every month you're saving $84. How much are you going to save over a 25-year span? So basically, you would have to have this line cross the red axis to have made money or netted zero on your investment, which it clearly doesn't. So just to take you through it, year zero, you're paying 11 grand for the panel and installation. You're still paying that fee. For this analysis, about $40 a month for the standby fee. And then on year 12, you've got to pay for the inverter, which will die. So that's going to be about $1,400. And then again, you're paying the utility company still, another $1,400 for that inverter. And then here, you can see you didn't net zero, and in fact, the panel will probably die this year. So you're talking about another 11 grand, which now you've lost money. Now, granted, it probably won't still be $11,000 in 25 years, it might be cheaper, but you're still, regardless, even if it was much cheaper, you still didn't make your money back on the investment. So in conclusion, the utility company is more reliable, it's safer, and it's more cost effective than the alternative, which is going on to a solar system and trying to generate your own power. Thank you.
Excellent. Comments for David?
It was good, I understand everything he was talking about.
Yeah. Good, understandable,
Yeah.
clear. Seemed like a very reliable, trustworthy authority on this.
He knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you work in that field?
Yeah, I work for the utility company.
Yeah. he works.
You do a lot.
He works for. He's a solar power advocate on Capitol Hill, and that's what he does. He's a lobbyist for the solar industry. Any other comments?
He needed no notes.
No notes. Yeah. Good. Great outline. Great conclusion. You presented your conclusion ahead of time. You recapped your conclusion at the end. You're clear with those points as you went through. The one thing, the agenda, you gave us a great conclusion, and then you had an agenda which was just a little bit different, which threw me off a little bit. But honestly, the reason it didn't throw me off that much is because you were so clear with your conclusion at the beginning. I thought, oh, agenda, you're just going to do some other stuff, but it was close. It could have thrown us off though. Great physicality, great position to the left of the screen. You seemed stable. There's a little bit of movement, and that's fine, just to keep a casual feel. Do you feel like you benefited from the Zip Zap Zoom exercises in establishing that great body position? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, even if it's not true. I appreciate you. Any other comments for David? Yes.
He had that one slide, the distribution of energy, how you broke it down, and the little light was going.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That was great. Yeah, how do you do that?
In transitions, you can,
Oh, okay.
you can do stuff.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, great. Who is next? Was it, yes.
Oh, there we go. So my presentation tonight is about global warming. This is a very serious matter. We all should be concerned about this, and we all should try to do something about it. What is global warming? Is that gradual heating of Earth surface, oceans, and atmosphere. What causes global warming? Carbon dioxide. The CO2 acts as a blanket, trapping heat and warming the planet. Burn fossil fuels. As we burn fossil fuel like coal, oil, and natural gas for energy, or we cut down forests to create plantations, carbon accumulates and overloads the atmosphere. Oil and natural gas. Some waste management and agricultural practice aggravate the problem by releasing other potent global warming gases. The effect on business. I picked 3 sectors as an example. Agriculture. For agriculture, it increased the global temperature. The farmers are forced to invest in new areas where the climate has warmed enough to make agriculture viable, and may have to leave the area that have become too hot or too dry or too wet. The other sector is health, the health sector. The climate could bring a change in our general health. The quality and type of food we eat, the water we drink, and that's it. And the last one, the tourism sector, are affected by the global warming for many reasons. People are going more green nowadays, choosing eco tours and eco hotels to minimize the carbon footprint as they travel. They also, the increase in bad weather events like landslides, it will keep tourists away. For many countries, for example, that depends on tourism, will be affected by sea level rise or the lack of descent in snow, or even water shortages. I put together this chart. As you can see, this pie chart is a breakdown of the heat traffic, global warming, the emission by the economic sector. As you can see here, the energy supply has the largest percentage, 25.90, followed by the industry sector. The earth is getting hotter. It keeps increasing. The abnormality on the temperature. Sorry. The Space Administration declaring in 2014 as the hottest year in 134 years of record keeping. As you can see, the temperature is projected to keep increasing if we don't make a change. Here are the contributors to global warming. As you can see here, the United States ranks number 1. These are the top 20 countries contributing to temperature changes. that they use a fossil fuel and a greenhouse gas emission. I just put this graphic here so to give you an idea how the oil gets extracted, the process. You can see all the layers here that how they extract the oil. How can we help fight the global warming? We should reduce, reuse, recycle. Try to use less heat and air conditioning. Light bulbs, it's being advised to change the regular bulbs for LEDs. And drive less, so you don't have to consume that much gas. And if you can afford it, buy a smart car, drive a smart car, and use less water, hot water, and always try to turn off the computers or equipment that consume electricity. And conserve, try to promote, try to encourage others to conserve. And I would like to play a video so you can, I don't know, to raise an awareness of, try to save the earth. I will have to, I guess, click it here. Sorry, I haven't done this before.
Just try hitting escape and
Huh?
hit escape and see if we can. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Then I'll expect, I'll make it bigger.
There we go.
All right, good job. Stay up there for a minute, Danilsa. Comments for Danilsa?
That video was sad.
Yeah, the video was sad. I was trying to get your attention to flip off the lights because it was a little hard to see. All right. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to stop you in the middle of it and try to get rid of your notes because I feel like they hurt you more than they helped you. We want to hear from you. We want you to look in our eyes and tell us something important and meaningful to you based on your expertise about global warming. And I feel like you had all of that. I noticed that not only were you reading the slides, you were reading the notes. It's like, and I wondered like how much was on the slides and the notes. So, do you remember the turn, touch, talk technique that we talked about last time, and maybe I think we mentioned it earlier in class today?
Yeah.
It was the technique where you can look at what's on the slides, remind yourself what's there, and then turn back to us and talk to us just a little bit. There were a couple little moments
Yeah.
where you were looking us in the eye and like, drew us in with that. But, and the interesting thing is that you had good stuff there. Just the content you were saying was effective. And if you had said it directly to us, you could have drawn us in even more with it.
I always think it's so much insecurity. I always think that I'm going to make mistakes, and that's why I hold on to my notes. And hopefully, I'm going to get this.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why I wanted you to stand up here a minute. Is I just wanted you to like talk to us, standing up in front of us. We're getting more of a sense of interacting or getting something out of your presentation just by you making eye contact with us and standing in this powerful position and looking confident. And you should be confident because it was good stuff. Any other comments for Danilsa? We can clap again. Yeah. All right. So, Amanda?
Can I get it for my thing, because I spelled something wrong and I don't wanna. It doesn't matter.
If you want to, you can wait. You want to wait?
I mean, no, I already put it on there, so I have it with me.
No, you can't put it on now, but if you can wait until later and do it. Okay,
So you,
Letitia?
am I gonna lose points?
No, you won't lose points for it. Oh, and while we're stopped, if you have a cell phone out, if you could please put it away where I can't see it, it would make me happy.
Good evening, everyone. Today I'll be doing my presentation on the most important meal of the day. So I want to ask everyone the question, what to you is the most important meal of the day?
Dinner?
I mean, we don't have to go on exactly what we think, but what to you is the most
What
important?
dinner?
Lunch.
Lunch.
Coffee.
So I say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Preferably a healthy breakfast, not one that's saturated in fat, bacon, sausages. Choose the parfait or egg. So
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it makes you healthier, it keeps you leaner, and it's an energizer. Robert A. Hyman says that in Wilson's scale of evaluations, breakfast rated just after life itself and ahead of the chance of immortality. Breakfast is so important that it's in between life and death. So if you want to live long, eat breakfast. Breakfast keeps you healthy because you consume more nutrients. Breakfast has the most healthiest choices. So if you, during lunch, you'll eat a little more less healthy, and then dinner is way more less healthier choices. A study found that people who skipped breakfast compensated later in the day with more refined carbohydrates and fats and ate fewer fruits and vegetables. You'll also eat less sugary snacks. When you eat breakfast, your body feels nourished and satisfied, making you less likely to crave sugar. So breakfast helps balance your blood sugar, which makes you crave snacks less and sugars. And you consume less throughout the day. You're more likely to choose healthier choices throughout the day. So I tried doing this experiment yesterday. I didn't eat breakfast, and today I ate breakfast. Yesterday, after work, I went to the supermarket and bought a whole bunch of sugary snacks, and when I got home, I ate all of them. Today I ate breakfast, and I ate lunch later, and I'm not even hungry right now. So for dinner, I'll probably have something, probably a smoothie or something. And this is the comparison of meals that I'm saying. So this is a percentage, and the y-axis is meals. So if breakfast is 100% healthy, lunch is 7.4 less healthier, which would put it at 92.3%. Dinner is 15.9% less healthier than breakfast, and snacks are 16.3 less healthy. So overall, you'll choose less healthier foods during those times. You're more likely to choose a healthy breakfast. And this graph shows that skipping breakfast makes you eat more throughout the day. The y-axis shows the percentage, and the x-axis shows the percentage, and the y-axis shows the time. People who eat breakfast are 12.3% healthier throughout the day than those who don't. And people who don't eat breakfast eat 6.8% more healthy throughout the day. So if you ate breakfast at 12 o'clock, you would eat 4.9% more healthy if you didn't. If you didn't eat breakfast, you would eat 4.9% healthier than if you did. Less healthier than if you did. And it goes up from there. At 1 p.m., it's 7.4%. At 4 p.m., it's 8.5%. And at 6 p.m., it goes down. It keeps you leaner. Breakfast reduces the risk of obesity. An American Heart Association's annual conference study shows that obesity and insulin resistance syndrome rates were 35 to 50% lower among people who ate breakfast every day compared to those who skipped. A representative also said that there might be a normal basis for some of the effects because the hormone insulin controls blood sugar, and blood sugar level is related to how hungry or energetic a person feels. So again, breakfast helps stabilize your blood sugar, which helps reduce the risk of obesity. Breakfast also speeds up your metabolism. Dartmouth, Hitchcock, Norris, Cotton Cancer Center says eating breakfast can increase your resting metabolism by 10%. So when you wake up and you don't eat breakfast, your metabolism isn't kick-started, which then you're more tired and everything that day. But you have to remember that you have to eat a healthy breakfast and not choose a donut or bacon that's sitting in a whole bunch of grease or something like that. So this guy is asking the other guy, wow, what energy drink are you on today? Well, actually breakfast gives you wings. Breakfast is also an energizer because one, you're breaking the fast. Does anybody know that that's what breakfast stands for? You're sleeping all day, all night, which you're fasting throughout the night, basically. And once you eat breakfast, you're breaking that fast. So like a car, when you put the key in the ignition, it starts up and is ready to go, right? That's what breakfast does for you. It also, as I said again, balances your blood sugar. When you do not eat breakfast, your blood sugar drops, making you more tired and you lose more energy. And you're more likely to have a productive day if you have more energy, so breakfast helps you get through your day.
Yeah, that was a little bit, like we weren't sure. Is it over? Okay. Good stuff. Comments for Letitia?
I like her presentation. It was very informative, and also I like her charts. They were like very easy to read.
Okay. Yeah, can we go back to those charts? Was there one before this?
No, it's only these two.
Oh, it was these two? Okay, so skipping breakfast, eat more. Okay, and go forward. Yeah, this one. So this threw me off a little bit. So it's if you.
So it's generally breakfast is the most healthy meal of the day. Regardless if you eat breakfast or if you skip breakfast, all the other meals are less healthy.
If you less healthy, what do you mean? Like, I don't
The
understand.
food's chosen.
So breakfast is 100% healthy, and then as you go on, so lunch will be 7.4% less healthy than your breakfast, and then.
Okay, but your food choices?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and where's this data coming from?
I got it from a chart on another website.
Okay. Yeah, it's I mean, it just like I said, it just threw me off a little bit. It's kind of an abstract concept, and yeah, I think if you were going to present this chart, just warn me that's an abstract concept. I would say, okay, so we're going to talk about how you make less healthy choices on average. So assuming the baseline that your breakfast is 100% healthy, it may or may not be. Is that it? So these researchers found that people make less healthy choices as they go throughout the day. So, but why does eating breakfast help you then?
It's whether or not you eat breakfast. So regardless if you eat breakfast, it's less healthy. So that's why you should choose to eat breakfast.
Oh, okay. So breakfast is the point where people on average make healthier choices. Okay, so this research shows that you make healthy choices when you eat breakfast, so eat breakfast, okay, alright, fair enough. Good, good. What else did I have? Good confident stance, good use of notes. I feel like you were using the notes effectively and that didn't sacrifice your eye contact with us. So good connection with the audience. Good eye contact as well. Good stable stance, yeah. Any other comments for Letitia? David?
I like the engagement with the asking us questions. She asked us twice questions.
Yeah, oh, that's a great technique. Get the audience excited and engaged. And also, it's a good anxiety technique. If you're nervous, ask the audience a question. Anything else? Great. Okay, so let's take 10 minutes, and during that 10 minutes, if you haven't presented yet, please put your presentation on the desktop. And we'll come back at 7:47 and finish these up. Or take a nap. Yes. Yes. Don't try ordering anything on the menu though. Just say I want that. Oh, long day?
I only had 2 hours of sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, press the button. Best Christmas gift ever.
Why are you so
How long
particular
was
about the chart?
You
To me,
know
it was
charging?
so straightforward, I understand.
Everything I say, he's confused about. Every presentation is like.
I'm sorry, I'm probably, I shouldn't mention anything about the chart, but to me it was clear, I don't know.
It's, solar, it's having the sun. It'll recharge itself. We'll have to plug it in.
Look at that, that's pretty.
Did you ever hear the term they pick on their favorites?
Yeah, right.
Oh, no.
Now, let me ask you a
Every
question.
she always gets picked on and she always gets picked on.
Why you didn't put a female picture there, only
I
men?
got crazy data. I got crazy data online, so just.
I mean, I did something, I feel like I know what I'm saying, but then I feel like I'm too nervous to talk in front of people,
Please,
so
just
I'm gonna
keep
feel like I don't know
talking,
what I'm
just
saying.
keep talking, no one is, remember he said the 2 points in time? You just keep talking in between.
I got too much data. I don't know if I like this.
No, I felt like mine was too simple.
No, I like
No,
it.
that was fine.
I wish I would've thought like that. I overcomplicate stuff too much.
Yeah, remember, the
It's
more
about
data
the
you put, you can make more mistakes
Yeah.
or.
The more it's gonna.
I just Googled ideas to present, and then it said
That's a
breakfast,
good
and I was
idea.
like,
That
what?
was good.
I know, I should've done it. I remember going back to. You put 100% of grape juice and everything else is.
Yeah, made me ask the breakfast, like.
I know, I remember researching when I was pregnant, and I was like, oh, shit, this is the first thing I ate is like mad pure
I don't remember
stuff. They say you can,
with the 5 days goodbye. I drink it for 6, but it was happening for no, it's 4, 6, I see. Oh my God, instead of smoothie? So you could, then you have that and then drink it and water.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I do. You know, but I use water before I run. That's what I do.
I had to take a cab. I would have never done it.
A cab?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I didn't,
Why are you saying things? You can't have 100%
all the thing is a no. It's like no everything. No green tea was the first thing I said. Why did I stop and I say no? I'm not gonna do something. I'm going because I feel like I'm past that. I'm going to feel like I'm dying.
Me too. I only have 2 hours sleep until I have to feel this one.
It is crazy. Having that new hope is terrible.
It was that set me back on everything.
I feel like I always everything. There's not always fast or everything. I know what I'm going to do. I just don't do it.
You're good.
I feel like the class is not. That's how it's not fair. I just don't know where people are going.
I do too, but the thing is that he wants to stick stuff. But I go into presentation mode and I put tons of things out. And that's how I want to stick. I'm like, I don't want to post that. So just drives it in. Everything is on. Everything is on the document.
So why are you on track editing?
Sorry. It's because you guys gonna see me eliminate that.
No, I mean like before.
I know time. I know time. And I have my laptop, but the machine I did it on is not my laptop, so I haven't been sent to me.
And was too late to say that one. I feel like overview, I feel and then I looked at it, what do you like, what things like,
I didn't do the animation stuff, so I continued to try. I thought I did, but I just put in the animation. You want me to put the animation? I do, but I don't think it was complete, and I have no idea on that. Yeah, the new clip and things came on.
yeah, like.
That's a certain time, so, yeah, I had it on Wednesday, Saturday, or
no, I just.
Well, we did get that. So you guys should go first, so I'll give you more confidence. Because mine is amazing.
I think you're going to be safe. Because you're not just doing everything so simple. You never do real life, you know, it's kind of a question.
She's the rainbow. Oh, all right. So I'll bring you some candy next time. just see everything as like me. Forget about your lines and the feelings, which I hope these things don't want to be doing that. Anytime I'm in front of people, my face don't go to the lines, I try to get like everywhere. I'm trying to be sure. I could be good. You feel professional? Man, something from work. You was breathing. No, I'm talking about I don't breathe.
Because I tend to like
I don't wanna come to school.
start really fast
Me too.
if I don't calm myself down.
Because how'd you do that?
For this one?
Yeah,
Between slides,
it's really difficult to
like give birth.
presentation.
How many slides?
How many pages? I didn't.
I guess 10 pages, but it takes 2 minutes.
The top of it.
Right, I was just saying,
I should have coolly. I'm like,
I
in, I go in
Right.
too deep.
I'm just like, maybe I should done that. Why people should use ATMs?
You were pretty good.
How did that? You could have been talking about that for days.
Yeah.
It's not time.
After you, I don't wanna give
I'm a
presentation.
tolerant.
After your
So-
presentation, I don't wanna give presentation.
Oh, no.
Just got promoted
Don't say that.
full time.
Hey, do you use a lot, or this is something that you
I-
like from
ATM.
time that?
Mobile banking.
I'm always going to them,
Online.
and they always
Okay, I'm
ask me
very
to do
into
them
that.
The obvious.
all the time,
Well,
and
but see, it's not even, it's not
to
even
me,
like.
I've done, you know,
older, not younger.
even stuff I don't know what I'm doing.
Like I
They tell
work
me,
at
you know, read
Wood
this,
Mountain,
present.
and most of
And I
them
have
are
to, you know,
older rich people. And
Yesterday,
they
that
all
happened to me,
they don't wanna
they
go
sent me a slide,
Because you're old school.
you have to present
Is
this
it
to
my
the
mom
vice
still
president.
balances check?
So I had to read the
Yeah.
slide, and go present that day. And I didn't even know what, you know, I had to research. Ask people, and then go present it.
All right, who wants to start us off?
I don't know how to do this. Which one do you press?
The one on the right is forward, the one on the left is back.
Okay, so, hi guys. I did my presentation on why you should use a payroll consultant for your company. An overview of today, I will talk about what is payroll, what are the components of payroll, and why you should hire a payroll consultant to do your payroll. So what is payroll? It should be a term that we're all familiar with. Payroll is a part of doing business. It's a very key part of doing your business. You can do it on a daily, weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly basis, and it consists of both the employer paying the employees. The components of payroll is not as cut and dry as that. It has a lot of different components within the employer and the employee. So it has like sick pay, what you have to pay for benefits. Do you need any taxes, like what kind of taxes you have to pay for them? So for the employee side, sick pay, what are you entitled to? Do you have to, like based on the number of hours you work, do you have a day that you're able to work? Even if you're a part-time worker, you're still entitled to sick pay. Reimbursements for like education, moving, and travel and entertainment expenses. Depending on what your company's policies are, these are different things that you will be reimbursed for. And then local and state taxes for where you live and where you work. So say you work in New York City, but you live in New Jersey, you pay New York State tax, but you don't have to pay New York City tax. So there's many different tax laws that come into play when it happens for payroll. Severance, gratuity, commission, and bonus, those are also different components of payroll. And based on like commission, it's, you gotta pay different taxes on commission and bonus payments for your payroll. And gratuity. You need to know these tax limits and these tax rates based on each employee. They're different based on age and where you are. So for the employers have to pay, after they collect the federal and the state taxes from the employee, they have to then send it to the federal, state. You need to file your quarterly tax reports. You need to register for the states that the employer works in. So if you have remote employees, but you have a company in New York and you have a remote employee that works in Colorado, you need to register for the state, both with the state and the Secretary of the State. Garnishments, so if employee has like child support that they owe and we get a court mandated paper that says that we need to garnish an employee's payroll, you need to know how to do that. Every year there's new laws that come into effect, so you need to keep updated with these laws. And payroll record keeping. For up to 10 years, for every employee, you need to know everything about that employee. So you need to have their I-9 on file, you have to have their documentation on file, and anything that they do, whether the bankroll or anything. So you should say goodbye to this headache and this hassle and just have someone do it for you. So by hiring a payroll consultant, you will save time, you will save money, and it will be more efficient. So how you would save time? You will no longer have to train somebody on doing payroll. This person that will be the consultant will have industry experience, so they will know every law that comes into effect. They will know like what the employer needs to know. You won't have to deal with all of that. They will file for you. They will go through with speaking to the employee and how you would save costs. So it was shown in a study that 1 in every 3 employer pays a penalty for incorrect payroll entries. I know with our company, we had it happen a few times. So you don't have to miss deadlines anymore. So like when you have to file workers' compensation on a quarterly basis, you don't have to worry about which state requires it in January, which state requires it in October. It's all different deadlines. You don't have to pay this consultant benefits, bonuses, and annual raises, so you'll save money there. And you don't have to pay for supplies any longer. You don't have to pay for checks. You don't have to pay for envelopes and etc. So another way that you will save, I will show, is the cost of payroll consultant versus a payroll clerk. So I currently do payroll, as you can see. So I put me there, and I showed some industry leaders that are currently in payroll, so ADP, Allied Global, and Paychex, versus a payroll clerk. So I put like hourly rates on what people currently charge to do payroll consultants. So I put on like a 35-hour week or a 40-hour week because every company is different, and how much you would have to pay for their employees' benefits and the total costs altogether. So as you can see, most of the total cost is below the payroll clerk, except for me, sorry guys, I'm a little expensive. But overall, the hour cost would be less for the payroll clerk, but when you have to pay for the employee benefits, it comes out to pretty much equal to their salary because of like it's 15% for federal and state taxes, it's another like couple of percentage for their benefits for their medical and dental, and etc. There's a lot of costs in the employee benefits. So your cost savings, when I took the industry average, it came out to about $58,000 versus a payroll clerk comes out to about $90,000. So on average, you would save a lot of money by going with a payroll consultant. You would be more efficient because you set the rules and the expectations for this consultant. It's customizable to your needs. It will help you budget forecast for this, for whatever you need, like if you need to know how much going forward you're going to need for that year. They would be able to tell you that. They'll be able to run reports, cash forecasting, knowing like, you know, if it's bi-weekly or monthly, you'll be able to tell how much money you will need on hand at that time. And it's quick answers and turnaround for any questions that you may need or the employee may need. So if I have questions about how many dependents I have, I would be able to answer that for the employee, and you don't have to take time out of your schedule to do that. So Any questions?
Sorry, guys.
Good job, Amanda. Comments for Amanda?
It was good, straight to the point.
Yeah? I don't know if she got straight to the point. She used an interesting tactic by explaining all those complicated things the employers and the employees need to keep track of. And then she said, and if you don't want to worry about that. Because I was wondering if that's where you're going with that. But that was an interesting technique. I think it's fine. Other comments? Good eye contact. Good example of really presenting something that you're obviously an authority on. And I think even if you're not an authority on the thing you present tonight, you can still think about, you know, how you can break your material into little bits that you feel comfortable presenting to your audience and making eye contact with your audience while you're explaining them. Doesn't need to be in quite that depth or quite the depth that David went into. But I think those, you know, this example and David's presentation example was great case where, you know, that connection and that authority and that confidence as the speaker was really looking at us and talking to us was made for an effective presentation. Yeah, I just had a few details. The table where you show that you're the most expensive. You could have just skipped that and gone straight to the next slide, where look at how much just money you're saving by getting a consultant rather than a payroll clerk. Like you already have a payroll clerk
Figure
sitting
out
there.
how to put it in the table, so, I don't know, at first I only had that table, and then, like, last minute I put that other one in, and I didn't delete that one, so.
Right,
It was
right,
just my own.
right. Sometimes you get attached to work
Yeah.
you've done. You're like, oh, well, this looks like a good table, I'll just keep it, but, great. Any other comments? All right, fantastic. Let's move on. I'm open. Go for it, Patty. Save Maxie.
Yes.
Coke versus Pepsi.
Hi guys, today I'm gonna present you two American beverage giants.
Graphic designer or something?
No, I'm not. I was an ex-Coke worker. I used to work for a Coke company for like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna present today two American beverage giants, Coke and Pepsi. And the rivalry between Coke and Pepsi is legendary. Although the war, Coke and Pepsi heated up with the 1975 Pepsi challenge in which promoted Coca-Cola's horrific New Coke's collapse.
Horrific what?
Horrific New Coke collapse.
Oh.
They produced a New Coke and their sales is down. They changed the taste, so their sales went down. And the brands have been fighting almost more than a century, Coke and Pepsi. The Coke has the lead, as you see that the beverage industry hit the almost $1 trillion. The 35% belong to carbonated beverage. Coke and Pepsi fight with this number. And also Coke has the lead, the industry, as you see, 48.6%, Pepsi only 20.5% in the world. What about the US? The Coca-Cola company has the lead like at 39% in US, the PepsiCo 30%, the Dr. Snapple Group 22%, the private labels 6%. What about the Coke and Pepsi sales? As you see the numbers, Coca-Cola has still lead the market. It's almost more than $60 billion, and Pepsi like more than $45 billion. But Coke, some of Coke's brands, which are Sprite, Fanta, and Minute Maid, have reached $1 billion or more retail sales. Pepsi's beverage might not be strong as Coke, but they have some multiple business line holding more cash, and it's in snack business also. That's why as you see the Pepsi's net income with the Coke. And also they're spending too much money for advertisement. Coke spent like last year $20 billion. The Pepsi spent only $10 billion. That means 7% of total sales of Coke. And decline, also there's a social media follower on Facebook. Coca-Cola hit the 1 billion people, Pepsi almost 400 million. This is the employee numbers also, and decline of the soda industry. The drop in soda consumption represents the single largest change the American diet in the last decade. Sales are stagnating as a growing number of Americans says they are actively trying to avoid soft drinks. So people try to, as you see that the sales are going down because people try to be healthier. In a conclusion, don't drink too much soda.
Ah, good, Fatih. Some good stuff going on in there. Comments about Fatih's presentation? How do we like those graphs? Anyone have some comments on the graphs, on how he presented them? These, how do we like these?
I was just confused because Coca-Cola was blue and Pepsi was red.
Yeah, my thought on this is that I could understand what you were saying, but it was distracting as I was trying to absorb the information on the graph. So I honestly feel like these graphs may have focused your message in a way that we could understand a little bit more, but these two graphs, especially these two, there's too much going on for you to really give it justice.
Too much information?
I think so. If you have to spend several minutes really on these. And like sales, like what is it? It doesn't really prove anything. You're just breaking the sales down into, I guess, years. And it doesn't show anything different than if you lump them all together, right? Right? So we just do something simple. Yeah. And I would say some of these I wanted to see a takeaway, like the advertising spending, like what does that mean? What does that mean for us? And how does that play into whatever conclusion you're going for? And the conclusion, that brings me to an interesting point. Your conclusion was what? What was Fatih's conclusion?
Don't drink soda.
Did that throw anyone else off? It was like kind of out of left field, like, oh, okay. That's the conclusion you've been going for the whole time? It's just, you didn't give us any hint that you were going for that was your whole presentation, and boom, all of a sudden, don't drink soft drinks. If that was your conclusion, we may have expected to see a bunch of information about how unhealthy soft drinks are, maybe some of the stuff in Letitia's presentation. Yeah. And the new taste, when did you say the new Coke came out?
Yeah, 1975. They changed the taste.
Wasn't it
It's like a new Coke.
85? I feel like it was 85, because I remember that.
75?
85. I think it was 85. And I don't know if you remember who was one of the spokespeople for Coke, the new taste. I think he was like the spokesperson. Does anyone remember who it was or know who it was? Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was like the Coke, the new taste guy. And yeah, I was not happy with Coke.
Did they change it back?
Yes,
No.
they changed it. They're like, we're sorry.
It took like 2 weeks, that's it.
We're all going back.
Forget about what Bill Cosby said. Good, so my main comment for you, Fatih, is that I feel like I was able to understand your presentation and understand your words and understand the points you were trying to get across very effectively, more so than in the previous two presentations I've seen. And I feel like maybe the slides aided you in focusing what you were saying. My other comment is just the comments I made, that there's a lot of information that is a little distracting on the slides. All right, next person. Oh, okay, go for it, Max.
Hello everyone, I'm going to talk about the project management office today. Okay, so did you know that between 2010 and 2020, estimated 15 million new project management jobs will be added globally, reaching an economic impact of over 18 trillion across 7 project-intensive industries. I'm not going to name all 7, but one huge one is health, information system computers engineering, food industry, and there are others that move on. So, project management. You know, a lot of people, depends on where you're working, kind of overlook project managers for specific reasons, and I'll kind of delve into them a little bit. But project manager is a huge undertaking, a huge responsibility, and they go into planning the process, organization, bringing people within the organization, key departments together to actually bring a project into fruition. As I mentioned, a lot of organizations overlook project management, team, and the value that they actually add to companies. I'm actually recommending that we actually move forward for any company to develop. We don't have one, a lot of companies don't have one, they rely on individual departments like IT. Well, IT can manage the project for IT. Finance can handle the project for their financial sector, right? That's not the case. This is really more in depth. And we'll be exploring the PMO structure, organizational processes, and the actual added value. So, what's the big deal about project management? And why should we actually pay more attention to it? It's not just doing projects, it's doing the right projects where you see a good turnaround in your investment and you get to your end result, and it's doing the projects right. What does that mean? Well, the project portfolio management is what allows you to do the right projects. In the portfolio management, what it is we have a portfolio full of different projects that you or any company may want to achieve, whether it's a new software development tool, whether it's building a home. Each project has a priority level, and that's how we choose which ones are the right to do. And that's within portfolio management. So, for the management is the art and science of applying set of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet or exceed the needs and expectations of an organization's investment strategy. All right? And as I mentioned, it basically, to sum it all up very quickly, what should we take on and what should we drop? Ideally, when you say what should we drop, it doesn't necessarily drop, the priority level drops. Too far. Oops, this is backwards. Sorry, I'll go back to that. And I'll talk about doing projects right. So, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, techniques to meet your project requirements. Project management is accomplished by a few stages. Initiating a project, planning it, executing it, controlling, and after all that's done, you close it. But part of the closing, just to briefly mention, is not just closing it and the project's done, hooray. There are lessons learned. What can we do better? What can we do going forward next time? What should we not have done? And obviously, the more you know about a project, the better you are able to manage it. And I believe you get those takeaways from the closing. This is not in order. Okay, project management exists for multiple reasons. Is to allow organizations to actually, they have their ideas, but project manager brings the ideas into real life. They manage relationships, and there's a collaboration. The project manager doesn't only manage the set project. The project manager manages the people. The project manager, we have to, as a project manager, we have to make sure that finance, IT, engineering, all get together to help put the pieces together to bring us to where the ultimate vision is, all right? Which is usually developed by the shareholders, executives, and such. So, who is the project manager? As you can see, the project manager is multitasking. He is doing a lot of work there. He has to have a range of skills, a large range of skills. So that's why it's not good to just have someone in IT manage the IT project, because there's more to it than just technology. There's finances behind it. There is customer skills that's required and such. As mentioned before, project management stages are the identification of project, planning of the portfolio, which we mentioned, which projects do we want to keep on, which projects do we want to kick off to a lower priority. The initiation of the project, so the initiation of the project is, okay, I have my finance department, I have my IT, I have my engineer, staff member, and now we're going to figure out what portions for each individual is necessary for them to perform. Then comes the project planning. And the project planning is pretty much a segue from the initiation. What tasks are you responsible for as an engineer? What tasks are you responsible for as a financier? And your task may be a little bit more priority than the engineering, because finances will drive the project. Execution, you're moving along with the project, and keeping control. Project manager has to keep control of the project. So we have an item that's a 3-day turnaround. You as an engineer promised me that you'll have your portion done in 3 days. So I can then take that and hand it off to my financier, who then move on. If your 3-day timeline goes over, you're running everybody behind, and you'll be costing the company money. As a project manager, I'm at your door all the time. Where are we? What's your progress? Do you need more time? Do you need more time? I have to then carry out that timeline a bit more longer, okay? And set expectations to upper management. Then project closing. Project closing, we're done, we're on time, hopefully. If not, we've already set those expectations to upper management and our clients. And then we will all sit and have a meeting. What can we have done differently? What should we have done? What will we do next time? Will we decide to set a longer expectation for our clients? Will we tell the shareholders we need more funds next time? Will we tell them we're not going to make no money from this project? So we should probably lower the priority or just take it off the list. All right, so project managers. They link imagination and design. So we have our marketers. Our marketing department is awesome. They can go on social network and market the heck out of a sneaker, right? But there are other things that we need done that marketers can't do. So a marketing department cannot be a project manager. You pull all pieces together. Okay, so this is where the origination of a project would be for a different type of shoelace, right? put that concept into play. The PM will then play around with that, PM, project manager. Throw some ideas out there with a team member, that's where the initiation, the development of the project comes to fruition. That's with my team here, and then we come back and we start to decide. Benefits of project management. So, if you're a company and you don't have a project management team, why do you want to spend that money in developing a new department, project management organization team? Are you going to see that money back? You're going to get that money back. How long is it going to take? I don't have the time frame here, but this is based on a 12-month scale. And for entry level, mid-level, and senior level, this is your return on investment in percentage. And so, entry level, you're going to higher turnaround return on investment for obvious reasons. The entry level salary, you're going to get a bigger return on that, and so on and so forth. Before I go forward, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the project management world and the beloved Gantt chart. It looks scary, but it's not, I assure you. Let me tell you why. This is pretty much a project broken down. It's a timeline. Okay? And here goes your legend. So the colors, don't be too afraid by it. First, if you look at it from a perspective where I'm standing, you can see that green is on track, yellow is missed timelines, and red is obviously we're not on track, we're not doing anything there, and purple is complete. So you can just take a look here and say, okay, well, for this project, we're pretty much on track. For that engineer department, they're not fitting the bill. They're not doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So we know who we need to go see, who we need to help. But don't give you an idea of what the Gantt chart is. I don't go too far into it because it does look scary, but it really isn't. All right. But every project management organization uses it. They rely on it. They live, they breathe it. Okay. So just more information on benefits of project management. 80% of high-performing projects are led by certified PMOs. 89% of high-performing organizations. This is interesting. 89% of high-performing organizations value project management. 81% actively engages. 57% aligns projects with the business strategy. I mean, you think it would be more than 57% because why are we doing projects that the business is not aligned with the business, right? This I found more interesting. 46% of organizations admit to not fully understanding the value of project management, even though the understanding boosts the success rate of strategic initiative by 60%. So you know that you're going to see a higher value, but you know, not really trying to understand the system there. That's it.
Good job. Comments for Maxine? Can I have the clicker, Maxine?
Can I sit?
Yes, please.
Let me turn that, yeah, thanks.
All right. No comments? Yes, Orlando?
When she presented the project management, the stages, when she broke it down, that right there, I think she did a good job.
Yeah.
That really came off good.
Yeah, I think she should have started here. Because I think you talked about okay. I feel like you talked about this, where was this? Yeah, here. This is basically, instead of this, I think you could have just had this, right? And this brings more clarity and allows us to focus on you. And maybe you could have even you don't want us to follow. Read the slide, not me, okay? Maybe you could have even brought these in with animation effects.
Yeah.
And that would have been the way, let me tell you why project management is valuable. Because let me tell you what we do. First, we start with identification. This is the idea, and then we do the portfolio planning. This is a complex step that you may not have thought of, and it includes this, this, and this. this was good, this was also great. The simple way you got us to imagine how a project manager helps. This was scary. Like I saw this, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I think it might have scared you too. You're like, oh, what is this? What did I get myself into? Let me go back to this one. So this stuff is great, you know, this just brings the presenter, gives you as a presenter a reason to talk to us, and it makes it easier on us. So I'd say more of this and less of this.
Okay. And that's it,
Yeah, and then you came to, I gotta think of a term for this, the hard ending, or, can you guys help me think of a term for that, when you end without telling us that you're going to end, without warning of the ending? Crash ending. And we know from the attention retention graph that is a waste of our attention span. If you just give us a warning that you're about to end, you're in prime attention focus time. So anyway. In conclusion. All right, so I think we just have one more. Go Kay. No, he's not gonna go today. He left his in Brooklyn. Good job.
When is it gonna get easy?
What's that?
When is it gonna get easy?
Oh, I still get nervous. Oh, coffee board.
Great animation.
Yeah.
I just wanna know where you get the pictures
No, I
from.
just take from the internet.
Yeah,
But I couldn't do that.
yeah, good Google search.
Hi everybody, today I'm going to talk about the coffee behavior of people according to my survey on Facebook. So Starbucks Corporation, an American global company based in Seattle, Washington. Starbucks is the largest company in the world with more than 20,000 stores in 62 countries. President and CEO is Howard Schultz. As you can see, this Starbucks mission statement to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighbor at a time. So, Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is an American global donuts company based in the Canton, Massachusetts. Today there are more than 11,000 stores worldwide and 3,000 stores in 36 countries. Dunkin' Donuts is William Rosenberg. Dunkin' Donuts founder is William Rosenberg. According to the Dunkin' Donuts mission statement, make and serve the freshest, most delicious coffee and donuts quick and courteous in modern and merchandise stores. So, even though Starbucks 53% takes more than double share of Dunkin' Donuts, 20% does the number of times people purchase in a period are very close. And almost 40% of their customers shop for coffee at least 3 weeks a week. So Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts customer thinks brand is important factor for choosing the coffee shop. However, the influence of the two brands totally different to their customer. It's easy to find that Starbucks is more powerful than Dunkin' Donuts. So brand identity, according to the result, this study displayed that Starbucks customer, the brand of Starbucks is very different from competing brands. The word of mouth impact, this strong image can even affect their social file such as brand. Therefore, brand is for you in choosing to coffee shop. So product quality and price. Price, Starbucks high quality service and products with high price, as well as Dunkin' Donuts relate low quality service, quality with low price than Starbucks. However, more than 50% of Dunkin' customer think the price is high or too high, even its price is lower than Starbucks. In conclusion, as you can see, price here. Location. In location, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts are both convenience for purchasing. 90% in combination of good and service selection according to the graph. So conclusion, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts are different marketing strategy. Even though Dunkin' Donuts has friendly price strategy, Dunkin' is still hard to gain customer satisfaction. Starbucks convenience their customer that their products come with a high quality and service. So you can see the promotion here. Thank you for your attention.
Good. Comments? Okay?
I kind of wish you explained, you had a couple of really good graphs. I kind of wish you explained that a little bit more. Like I think the 2 pie charts that you compared Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, you kind of completely skipped over. I'm just like, oh, is he going to talk about that? But you didn't. So,
Yeah, we need more explanation here. This one as well. I was trying to figure out what was going on here. But to Venetia's point, I feel like there's a good comparison here that could be revealing. And I feel like, okay, you're tempted to just give us information. But you need to realize this is the first time we're absorbing this stuff. And it's okay if you pause for a minute and let us take in this information and actually explain some of the nuanced concepts that you're trying to portray to us. Does that make sense? Did you feel nervous? Is that why you wanted to just kind of keep going fast? Yeah? Okay, well, we were interested. I was interested, Venetia was interested, I think the rest of us were interested. Just tell us a little bit more. And as I was looking, because there's just a lot here. I was looking at this point, Dunkin' Donuts customers are more price sensitive than Starbucks is. What do we think about that?
yeah.
Demographic, that's demographic increase. It has to be. I mean, that's just mine. I would like to know like what, where, why.
Yeah, so Starbucks can raise prices as much as they want and the customers will keep buying.
I think is their marketing approach. Like I feel like Starbucks sells like a lifestyle. You know, something goes with Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you walk around with Dunkin' Donuts, you walk around with Starbucks, gives you, I don't know, more power, I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
Starbucks, I get a
Or
Starbucks.
panache.
So I guess they're not price sensitive.
Yeah, and okay, I think that you could have taken just this much time. You could have asked the audience a question. I think that'd be a great tactic for you to keep in mind. Ask the audience a question. That'll force you to slow down and engage your audience a little bit more.
You talked a lot about the global aspect, and I'm kind of like interested in it. That me personally, I don't know. But you did touch on it here and there, and it was kind of interesting how I made my own connections to your PowerPoint because I've traveled and I've seen Starbucks. I'm just like, ooh, Starbucks in a different country. I wonder how it tastes. Like, you know, it's just like one of those things where like you can connect to your audiences more.
Yeah. Good. So just connect with your audience. We're interested. Any other comments for Goke? All right, so I think we're all good. Next week we'll do that Dell case. I know, is everyone able to access the Dell case? Amanda brought up the point that I had the wrong link. Did everyone get the email? This is the correct link. Read over that and think about how they're using social media effectively. We'll talk a little bit about how social media can fit in our communication learning process. We'll talk a little bit about emails and memos, if I recall correctly. And bear in mind, 2 weeks from tonight, we will have that guest speaker I mentioned, a woman who has worked with Mercy a lot in our Strategic Consulting Institute, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about some job interview skills, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some networking skills. And recall I mentioned she offered to look at your resumes. If you are interested in having her look at your resumes and start off her presentation with that, then please get those ready for me. And just try to email them to me sometime this week. And then I'll have a full week to kind of get them to her and get her ready for that. All right, look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks for great presentations and great work tonight.